Yes. All right, Rick, come on up. The other structure, my last court date, he indicated he was hiring another attorney. And that doesn't seem to have happened, so I guess if we're up to the court, if the court wants to set a trial date, we can pick a trial date.
That's what I'm thinking, we'll set it for trial at this point. Mr. Hicks, good morning.
God bless you, Your Honor. I just want to point out that that is exactly not what my intent or goal was at the last hearing in dealing with Mr. Pingor.
Okay. I did have a note also that says that you said they were hiring another attorney on that day too.
Actually, let me clarify. This is about me firing Mr. Pingor.
Okay.
That is the first issue. Directly, so he cannot misrepresent me, which is well documented even in the very arrest complaints. And understandably, you were insisting that I not be able to fire Mr. Pingor for directly misrepresenting me. And I was trying to find some understanding so how I can make sure that I'm properly represented. And you needed a reason to convince me that I cannot fire an attorney that is directly misrepresenting me by calculating deceits in order to mitigate my concerns about why the last attorney suddenly withdrew the day of trial.
Who was that? Was it
Actually,
was that Mr. Miss LA? Was that it? I know you got transferred out. I don't know if that was it.
Indeed, when Mr. McGreen withdrew the day of trial, I told you, Your Honor, that I needed to assess your complacency with that. I need to know why Mr. McGreen withdrew the day of trial. And you did directly lead me to believe that you had no idea, I understand, but that's unfair to me. And understandably, I have a right to be first presumed innocent, but Mr. Pingor, is more directly communicating with, the state's concerns with the deal and whatnot, and that's antithetical to my representation, especially if I'm directly telling you I wasn't even just the reason why I was trespassed, that needs to come out, And I understand, that there are forces that want to ensure that Mr. Pingor can represent me how he thinks I should be represented. But, Your Honor, my first goal with dealing with Mr. Pingor, whether the court needs to find justified in any way, was to ensure that he cannot misrepresent me. And I can prove how I want to be represented. I can convince anyone. I believe that's why Mr. McGreen withdrew, because he cannot properly represent me, I know the serious implications with my concerns about this, me being unconstitutionally trespassed from a public service, directly told that they don't have to reason to deny me equal access to this public service. I've expressed many times to you about, Mr. McGreen not even communicating with me on a basic level. And even on the day of, trial, when he withdrew, he didn't even communicate with me about that, about all of a sudden I don't have representation, The last time I was here, even with Mr. Pingor, you were totally complacent with him telling me he does not communicate. And that's his first obligation, to communicate, the nature of how he's going to represent my concerns about assessing your complacency with Mr. McGreen's withdrawal. You directly told me that the regional council would be representing me,
Yeah.
and, and if ever I had any concerns about, that I need to get down to the bottom of things. Even, with you, I would need an attorney that could represent that so we can get through this in a healthy manner. But I do believe that there are specific reasons why, Mr. Pingor may not want to damage, the working rapport that judges have. I don't know. But I need an attorney who can help, who can assist me in making sure that my representation stays consistent, even from the very beginning, from the initial trespass complaint, which I told you is well documented, to the very arrest complaint, which is also documented. Both my representation in this regard, how it's all culminated up to today, must remain consistent. And, I need that. Mr. Pingor has made it very clear that he doesn't quite even see how I want to be represented. And he cannot if he does not believe he should communicate with me, which is, basic rules of conduct, governed by the same Supreme Court justice that signed off on Mr. McGreen's withdrawal. That's the circuit, the chief judge that presides over the circuit, and if, say, I need to know why Mr. McGreen withdrew the day of trial, I think it's only fair that someone, even you, Your Honor, might ask him, as that was months ago.
Well, the problem is with those, is with withdrawals, I'm not allowed to ask questions that invade the province of the attorney-client relationship. So there are specific rules regulating the Florida bar that prevent me from getting into that, and that's to protect you more than anything else. So with that being said, Mr. Pingor, last time we did a Nelson hearing, I denied the Nelson hearing, and I think we said opportunity to work on the case or discuss the case with Mr. Hicks. Any updates on that one way or the other? Or is it really just let's set it for trial?
No, he has my number, he doesn't call me, and this is a very simple case. There was a trespass warning issued at the bus stop, he was there, after Miranda, he acknowledged that he knew he wasn't supposed to be there, and they arrested him.
Well, and to be clear about that, even if you were representing yourself, I'm not saying you want to, just to be clear, or if you were represented by any attorney in the entire state of Florida, the ruling is that whether or not the trespass should have been valid or not is not an issue for the jury to decide, just to be clear. It's whether or not there was a trespass and whether that occurred. Again, so let's just set it for trial and let the chips fall where they may, Mr. Hicks, right? I mean, there's either you want to plead or you want to set it for a trial. Those are the two options. So what would you like to do today? You want me to set it for trial or you want to resolve the case today?
Your Honor, I need to know that Mr. Pingor cannot directly misrepresent me right here, right now.
Are you misrepresenting Mr. Pingor?
I am not.
Actually, what I need you to understand.
If we can pause this for a minute, I have an emergency, I have to just take this call.
Okay.
If I can come back for a
It's
second.
an emergency. That's fine.
Okay, and
But I
with
can't
that
talk to you
said,
without him, though. And that's not that I don't want him, Mr. Hicks. It's just that he's representing you, so.
he cannot represent me if
I
he
get it,
does
but
not
if there's an
communicate with me.
emergency that he's dealing with, I want to be sensitive to that, of course. I'm not gonna, we're gonna talk about your case again here. I just want to give you an opportunity to deal with whatever that is. I don't know what it is. So we will talk again very shortly, Mr. Hicks.
You let my attorney just.
He said he has an emergency and needs to get.
I'm back.
Okay, emergency's over. There you go. All right, back to the issue.
But what I'm trying to help you understand is my very presumption of innocence is also a presumption of honesty.
Well, presumption of innocence.
The
of course,
state
yes.
and everyone else needs to prove otherwise than
That's
how
true.
I've responded to
That's
this
true.
statement. Mr. Pingor is directly contradicting my response to that. That's a direct misrepresentation. And you are looking me in the face like that's not a serious issue.
Looking at
You
the face,
cannot
listen.
represent me if I'm telling this court, if I told the arresting officers that I have a right to ride public
That's
transportation.
what you think your defense is. That's what you think your defense is, Mr. Pingor.
And
No,
he's, he's
I-
obligated to,
No, hold on.
help me understand my rights.
Hold on. He's the
He's not
attorney. I've been
even
letting you
doing
go. He's the attorney. I want to talk with him about the progress of the case.
I understand his defense, we'll have a trial on that.
How could he understand
Mr.
my
Hicks,
rights? You're
that was Mr.
favoring him
Hicks.
over me.
Stop.
You're showing favoritism.
Stop. We're doing this one at a time.
I was
One
talking,
person
you
talks.
cut me off, so
One person talks.
he
Yes,
can narrate.
but this robe confers on me to say, this is how this is gonna work. We're gonna have one person talk and another. We're gonna be civil about this. Mr. Pingler, after you.
I understand what his defense is. It's not a defense. He was trespassed from there. If he wants to raise some civil suit about his right to use public transportation, that's not something that is part of this particular case. He was trespassed, and he was there, and that's what the state is going to attempt to prove. That's what the officers are gonna say. Well, let's just have a trial. It would take less time than this.
That does not represent me. I want to obtain the basic evidence concerning the trespass complaint.
All right, well, here's what we do. I'm gonna set a trial. I mean, you're obviously gonna
You're
agree with
showing
the state.
favoritism to what my attorney
What is my
wants.
alternative, Mr. Hicks? To dismiss the case because you want me to? I don't know.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, then what's my
I'm-
alternative? I set it for trial or you plead. Those are the two things we can do today. What would you like to
Actually,
do?
Your Honor, you also told me that I can represent myself.
You can. Do you want to do that? We're still setting it for trial.
This is about Mr. Pingor not
Do
misrepresenting.
you want to represent yourself or do you not?
If that's what I need to do to ensure that Mr. Pingor does not represent me, I must do that.
No, that you don't.
If I'm tried and convicted,
100%
it must
your
be
decision.
without Mr. Pingor
Okay.
misrepresenting.
Do you want to represent yourself or do you not? Yes or no?
I do not want Mr. Pingor
That's not the
misrepresenting.
question. Listen to what I'm
And if
asking.
I
Do
need-
you want
I-
to represent yourself? Yes or no?
I
That's not due to
must.
Mr. Pingor. Do you want to represent yourself? Yes or no?
I must, so
Okay.
you cannot ensure that Mr. Pingor misrepresents.
So I have to go through what's called a Feretta inquiry, which we're gonna do right now, because we are gonna set it for trial, so. Do you understand that you have a right to a lawyer? And again, the answers are yes or no. Do you understand that you have a right to a lawyer, yes or no?
That represents me, yes.
All right, do you understand if you can afford to hire your own lawyer, and if you qualify for a court-appointed lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you? Do you understand that?
I understand it.
All right, the state of Florida will pay a lawyer to advise you in these proceedings. Shall I appoint a lawyer to represent you in this case?
I
You
would
have
like
one.
the Department of Justice I would like you to ask them for an attorney.
All right, you can file your request with the Department of Justice in Washington DC right now, right here. Do you wish to have Mr. Pingor continue to represent you, or do you wish to represent yourself?
I told you I do not want Mr. Pingor.
Do you wish to represent
me,
yourself,
And I
is the
must
question.
represent myself.
You don't want, no. It's not you have to because you're being forced to because you don't like Mr.
I
Pingor.
must.
The
That's what
question I
God
have
told me
is,
to
do you want to represent yourself, yes or no?
I told you yes.
Okay. I would like to explain to you some of the ways that having a lawyer to represent you can be to your advantage. At trial, a lawyer has the experience and knowledge of the entire trial process. He or she will argue for your side during the whole trial and present the best legal argument for your defense. Since jury qualification and selection are governed by numerous legal procedures, a lawyer's knowledge and experience may enhance the selection process on your behalf. A lawyer can call witnesses for you, question witnesses against you, and present evidence on your behalf. A lawyer can advise you on whether you should testify, the consequences of that decision, and what you have a right not to say. A lawyer has studied the rules of evidence, knows what evidence can or cannot come into your trial. A lawyer may provide assistance in ensuring that the jury is given complete and accurate jury instructions by the court, may make effective closing arguments on your behalf, and may prevent improper argument by the prosecutor. A lawyer may ensure that any errors committed during trial are properly preserved for appellate review by a higher court. As it is almost always unwise to represent yourself in court, let me tell you a few of the disadvantages of representing yourself in court. Do you understand that you will not get any special treatment from the court just because you are representing yourself? Yes or no?
I need time to ask the DOJ like you asked.
Nope.
You advised
This is
me.
the time now. The case has been going on since
I didn't-
June of 2021.
And
Do you
I didn't
understand?
make Mr.
Answer my
McGreen
question
withdraw.
right now that I'm asking you.
You still
Do you
won't tell me
understand that
why
you will not
you're
get any
rushing
special
through this.
treatment from the court? I'm not rushing through anything. I think
Yes,
close to a
afterwards
year and a
you
half
can
is
withdraw.
more than enough time
I
that
didn't-
anyone
I
would
didn't
have
do
me
this.
rationally give you. Mr. Hicks, you will stop talking and you will answer my question right now. The question I have is, do you understand that you will not get any special treatment from the court because you are representing yourself? Yes
Oh,
or no?
yes, I understand you.
Do you
will not be
understand that
getting
you will not be
special
entitled to a continuance simply because you wish to represent yourself? Yes or no?
treatment. I understand what you're doing, Your Honor.
No.
God bless you.
Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yes.
And do
it's
you
also
understand that you
doing
will not be
something.
entitled to a continuance simply because you wish to represent yourself? Yes
I
or no?
understand, Your Honor.
All right, you are not required to possess the legal knowledge or skills of an attorney in order to represent yourself. However, you will be required to abide by the rules of criminal law and the rules of courtroom procedure. These laws took lawyers years to learn and abide by. If you demonstrate an unwillingness to abide by these rules, I may terminate your self-representation. Do you understand that?
I understand what you're doing, Your Honor.
What am I doing?
You are asking me if I understand, and I
That's
told
right.
you yes.
Okay, do you understand that if you are disruptive in the courtroom, that the court can terminate your self-representation and remove you from the courtroom, in which case the trial would continue without your presence? Do you understand that?
I understand, Your Honor.
All right, do you understand that your access to the state attorney who is prosecuting you will be severely reduced as compared to a lawyer who could easily contact the state attorney? Yes or no?
I understand, Your Honor.
In addition, the state will not go easier on you or give you any special treatment because you are representing yourself. The state will present its case against you as an experienced lawyer. And finally, if you are convicted, you cannot claim on appeal that your lack of legal knowledge or skill constitutes a basis for a new trial. In other words, you cannot claim that you received ineffective assistance of counsel. Do you understand these dangers and disadvantages of representing yourself?
Those won't be the reasons why I'm convicted.
Do you understand these dangers and disadvantages of representing yourself? Yes or
I
no?
understand, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions about these dangers and disadvantages?
I've already talked to God about them.
Okay, very good. Have you received and read a copy of the charges against you?
No.
Okay. Do you understand all the charges
Mr.
against
won't give
you?
them.
Do you understand all the charges against you?
No, Your Honor. I don't.
During this
No, why
time,
none of you prevented every lawyer from talking to me
I
about them.
prevented absolutely nothing.
Yes,
During,
you have.
okay,
I've
great. During the
asked
time
you
that you were
to have them
represented by
contact me,
counsel
but they
in
don't
this
want
case,
to.
did you discuss your case with either Mr. McGreen or Mr. Pingor?
I have talked to Mr. McGreen before I knew he was my attorney.
Okay.
And have not talked to him during the time that I did know. I hadn't even talked to him even when he withdrew from this case, the
Did you
day
discuss
of
your
trial.
case with
And
Mr.
you are
Pingor?
aware of that, Your Honor.
Did you discuss this case with Mr. Pingor at all?
No, you
All
know
right.
that Mr. Pingor has not talked to me about how I want to be represented, and yet
All right.
you favored how he wants to represent me.
Well,
or
I'm
how
asking
I
about you
want to
representing
be
yourself right now.
represented.
Do you need more time to speak with Mr. Pingor right now, this very second, before deciding to represent yourself? Yes or no?
I need more time to talk with the DOJ so I can have a
I'm not
proper
giving you, if
attorney.
you wanna do that between here and the trial, so be it. Right now, this very moment, as we are in this courtroom, you need to talk with Mr. Pingor more about representing yourself or not.
Mr. Pingor said he doesn't communicate.
Right now, do you have time to speak with him right now?
I sure do.
Do you need time to speak with him right now before representing yourself? Yes or no?
Your Honor.
Yes or
I
no?
fired Mr.
Yes,
Pingor.
you did not. Yes or no? Before I let you represent yourself, do you wish to speak with Mr. Pingor more? Yes or no?
About
Your
what?
case.
About representing me?
No, about your case.
If he doesn't want to talk about representing, if
He
you
says
don't
he's
want
willing
him
to
to
talk
talk about
right now.
representing me,
It is a
I
yes
cannot
or
talk to
no
him about
question.
representing.
Right now, Mr. Pingor says he's willing to talk with you about your case. It's either you're gonna represent yourself or Mr. Pingor is gonna represent you for the trial that will be coming up. Do you wish to speak with Mr. Pingor right now about your case before you decide to represent yourself? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Why not? Yes.
Yes,
Why am I
okay,
gonna
good.
change?
Let's pass your case while we're doing that. I will pause it for an inquiry. Mr. Pingor, if you please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. I think we may have a difficult time out with Mr. Chase, I'm not sure. We were called off the jury. The state officer only himself in back, I suppose. I see him out of custody, chapter of all talk, I suppose.
What the sheriff's, what the sheriff's office does, Your Honor, is if a person has a concealed weapon permit, they'll do a report, they arrest them, they'll do a report.
All right, come on in there. Okay,
All right.
sit down. What do you want to talk about?
I would like to talk about how you're going to represent me. You do know that you represent me and not what you want, so I want you
Okay,
to
let me
just
talk. Here's what we're gonna do. You're
I
gonna
need
get,
you to let me talk.
you're gonna get set for trial, and what's going to happen is we're gonna have a trial. They're going to prove that
Why
they
are
gave.
you running
Listen
over how
to
I want?
me.
Do not yell at me. You need to treat me with
You
dignity.
need to shut the fuck up for a
Do
second.
not cuss at me. You need to treat me with dignity.
Okay, here's some dignity.
You know.
Sit down and let's talk.
If you're going to harass me, I
Sit
cannot talk.
down and let's talk.
I'm leaving now because you will treat me with dignity and respect. Or we're not
There
going to get
is,
anywhere.
they are out, their allegations are, you don't want to talk?
You told me you're not gonna communicate.
I am, well, exactly what I said, I'm talking.
Ready to proceed?
Safe, ready to proceed.
Depends what you proceed.
We are ready to proceed.